Fantasy football time. Dean Essie is back. Dave, how you doing, my friend? Looks like your Packers got it done on Sunday Night Football.
He was pretty good about it all. It was pretty nice that he didn't come on and say anything after the game. And I guess him and Love exchanged jerseys after the game as well. So, but yeah, it was nice to get that win. It was looking a little shaky in the first half there. We rebounded well in the second half. Jordan Love looked good. Good night overall. I can't complain.
Yeah. It was a good night. You guys got a little boost, a little offsides action. That's all right. It's all right. I don't know how you missed that, but you were the better team. Funny how Love was just accurate as hell. I mean, there was a lot of good passes. There were some that were just kind of like just popped in the air, but it just goes right in the receiver's hands. It was really interesting for sure. My Bears lost to the Ravens. I thought that it was a bad spot for the Bears anyway, so I wasn't too upset about that, Dave. But here we are. It is fantasy football time. Your mic's still a little bit interesting. I don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully we can get through. The bye weeks are at us again, Dave. It's not quite bye-mageddon as it was last week, but we still have a few.
So this week we got Cleveland. I don't think you're starting many people on Cleveland other than Kushan Jenkins, who maybe David Njoku, and then really not any receivers you're probably starting on them. Dylan Gabriel, possibly, if you were really desperate. So they're not really that big of a fantasy. Not going to hurt a lot of fantasy people this week for them. New York Jets, you're probably not starting a lot of them as well. Justin Fields, borderline, you're probably not starting him. Garrett Wilson, but he's been injured the last couple weeks. Breece Hall, actually, who had a huge game this week. He's going to hurt some people this week. He has probably his best game of the year this past week. So that's going to hurt some fantasy people. Philadelphia, they have actually got quite a few people that are going to be on bye. Saquon Barkley, who's got banged up. We'll talk about that here shortly. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, who had another 2 TDs this past week. So, yeah, a lot of fantasy people, some prime fantasy people on the Philadelphia Eagles. And then Tampa Bay, actually, who's got a lot of injuries at wide receiver. They're hurting right now, but they keep winning, though. Baker Mayfield's going to be the big one there. Cade Otton, who's actually come on the last couple weeks. He's going to be one that you're going to want to get on your bench. And then Rachaad White, possibly, if you're starting in the last couple weeks with the Irving injury. But hopefully Irving gets healthy after this bye and comes back. We got him in quite a few leagues, so it'd be nice to see him make a comeback after the bye.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, Saquon got banged up, and we'll get into injuries like you mentioned. Here, hurt his groin, but he said he's used to it day to day. I'm going to call him, but it doesn't mean he's not going to miss when the bye is over. So I'd still pick up, especially if you own him, pick up a guy behind him, and we'll tell you who that is in a few. Spencer Rattler was benched. Probably lost his starting job to Tyler Shook and Jive. I don't think any of those quarterbacks are any good over there, my friend.
No.
Braxton Berrios went out with a chest injury. We'll see what happened with him. And then obviously the worst of them all, Cam Skattebo broke his ankle. I saw it. It was gruesome. He's out for the season. I guess Big Dom from the Eagles brought him some pizza and some breadsticks to the hospital. That's pretty cool of him. I really like that.
That's kind of cool. I thought it was cool, too, that Jackson Dart went to the hospital and cut the presser short and actually went there and it was like there when he woke up. So I'm like, that's actually pretty cool, man, that he's his bro and like showed up at the hospital and like said, screw the press conference and he's going to pay any fines or whatever. And then like, he's like, I'm going to bounce. I got to be there for my bro. So that was pretty cool, too, actually.
Yeah, that was super cool, man. I think Skattebo's a highly loved guy. And, he played half the season and did a kick-ass job. And unfortunately, not only do I go through bye-mageddon, well, you beat me in my league. I also lost Skattebo, man, which was really painful. It was tough. And we'll get into who to replace and everything, but real sad for that one because I love Skattebo, you know that, and he was definitely the best running back in this draft class.
I was becoming a huge fan too, man. I really liked him with all the games and all the stuff he was doing this year. So it's definitely a big loss for the NFL and for the Giants. The Giants just can't catch a break, man. Dart and him are looking so good, and then he gets injured.
Malik Neighbors too. Malik Neighbors and him. It's just like this team could be way better now. It's just so rough with these injuries these days. Yeah.
Giants are cursed.
They are. What am I missing here? I didn't see a lot of injuries this week. Which is
Jenkins with the shoulder injury. There wasn't a lot of major ones. The Scatterboo, yeah, definitely. Anthony Richardson, he went under with surgery to repair his orbital socket that he injured while warming up for a game. No one started him anyways, but I just thought
I
that
know
was kind of
no
funny.
one started him. I saw that.
I know, but I just think it's funny that he got injured warming up, and now he's going on IR, and he's getting surgery to prepare his eye socket. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, there's a couple key defensive players that were injured as well. Trey Hendrickson, his right hip, and then Derek Brown, left knee, Ed Oliver, biceps. So a couple big, and then Patrick Surtain was the big one too, shoulder. So he was in and out of the game, but Denver Broncos defense still looked great, even with him in and out of the lineup.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. But that's not too many. We'll take it. Take it. Waiver wire, Dave. Who are we replacing Scatterboo with?
Our own Tracy. And actually, I happen to have him in your league. After the SmackDown this week, you're gonna need some help, Kiev. But Jamaree Dike, we talked about him last week. Another great game this week again. He had 70-yard and 93-yard games and the touchdowns in both those games too. So if you haven't picked him up, this is your last chance. He's up to 68% now. He was way lower than that the last couple of weeks. But then Tez Johnson actually for Tampa Bay. With all those injuries there, Chris Godwin may not return soon. Evans is out probably the rest of the year. He's on IR now. So he needs someone to throw the ball to. So Tez Johnson, actually. We talked about him last week as well. Troy Franklin, his semi-breakout game, it was a huge game for him. He had 8 targets, 6 grabs, 89 yards, and 2 scores. So he was the guy back when Bo Nix was at Oregon, too. So he's got the Oregon hookup there. So
which guy?
Definitely.
You're breaking up. Which guy was
Troy
it?
Franklin.
Troy Franklin.
Troy Franklin and Bo Nix.
Yep.
Yeah. So definitely, he played college ball with Nix too. So that's why he's probably looking his way a little bit more often as well. But the guy who really hurt me this week in one of my leagues, I dropped Xavier Hutchinson and he blows up. He did nothing last week. This week, he had 6 passes sent his way for 69 yards and a tutty. So he had a nice game this past week. They have a lot of receivers there, so it's really hard to tell who's going to have the big game. Nico's been struggling. He was out again with injury as well. So definitely pick him up if Nico's out again, though, with the concussion. So Nico probably will be back this week, but speculative ad if Nico Collins is out again this week. And then Malik Washington, he looked a little bit better this past week. He caught 5 of 8 targets, which is pretty promising. He only had 30 yards, but he was getting the targets, though. So definitely a nice pickup as well. And then 2 other guys that replaced just borderline pickups. Jerome Ford for the Junkins injury. He's 93. He's pretty much moving to most leagues, though, so you might not be able to find him on most waiver wires. But Tank Bigsby, he came in and had a pretty nice game for Barkley when he was injured. So after the bye, if Barkley's still not healthy, that's a guy speculative add then too to keep on your bench for the. And then JJ McCarthy, he's probably going to start now next week after Wentz didn't look that good this past week. So definitely pick him up if he's out there. If some people by chance dropped him or for the bye weeks, or if someone else by chance dropped him just because Wentz was starting, definitely scoop him up. He's healthy now and should start this next week.
All right, good stuff. Should for KT Owen drop Hunter Henry, Mark Andrews, or Vidal for Tyrone Tracy? He's got Tucker Kraft at tight end, Judkins, Chase Brown, Gibbs, and Rashad White at running back. Well, first of all, Rashad White is going to stop starting after their bye, and it's going to be what's his face again. And the problem is, Hunter. I mean, tight ends you usually find off the waiver wire pretty good. And you already have Mark Andrews. I like Hunter Henry a lot. But Mark Andrews used to be the great, but Hunter Henry has a massive upgrade this year in quarterback, right? Tucker Kraft is kind of hit and miss. He had his game last night. Don't get me wrong. He balled out last night. It was tight end week or Sunday or whatever the hell that means.
Tight end day.
Yeah. And he was awesome. But not everybody's going to be playing the Steelers defense either. You have 3.
It's like Kiev was up here, so difficulties, but
but you're back. Go ahead, Vidal. Would you? I would keep Vidal.
Yeah, keep Vidal and Hunter Henry. Probably Mark Andrews probably is the odd man out there, or Rashad White. I'd say one of those two actually is the probably who I dropped for Tracy. Vidal actually had really one of his best games this past week, so definitely not dropping him. You're definitely keeping him. He's looked better and better over the last couple weeks, so he's borderline starter probably right now in some leagues, especially with the buys coming up. So
well, Marion Hampton will come back, but I still think Vidal gets 40% now.
Yeah, he'll still get some carries. So at the worst, he's going to get 30 to 40% of those carries even when Hampton's back. So he's still got some value. Rashad White won't have much value actually. Irvin comes back because Irvin's going to suck up a lot of those carries back again.
Yeah, Rashad White's just a handcuff at this point. Amir Abdullah versus the Steelers this is the non-starters. I gotta do my waiver wire. Yeah, pick up Tyrone Tracy for Scadaboo, but he sucks. So I really wouldn't I really wouldn't care too much about Tyrone Tracy. He's not going to put up Scadaboo numbers. And I think Devin Singletary is going to get a big piece of the load as well. And so I would look for Devin Singletary possibly to break out and take some of those carries, Dave. Come on. Seriously? Tyrone Tracy can't carry the load himself. And Tyrone Tracy, hey, Tracy is a very injury-prone guy himself. He really is. So I'd be very careful with that. Maybe pick them both up. Dylan Sampson for the Judkins injury. I agree with your Tank Bigsby, Dave, because that old Packer trash AJ Dillon is not doing it for the Eagles, and he's really kind of lost his job, lost his way. He's slow. Tank Bigsby is definitely the man behind Barkley. Samaje Perine had 9 carries for 94 yards. If you care, I know it was a lot of garbage time in that game. Yeah, he'll get more garbage time. I like Roman Wilson. He had 5 targets and a touchdown for the Steelers. And DK Metcalf's being pretty blanketed. So Wilson's been kind of wide open running down the side a lot. Xavier Hutchinson, like you mentioned, totally agree. And Troy Flanken and DK. Running back Isaiah Davis had a pretty good day for the Jets. So he's an interesting look right now, being that, Braylon Allen's been on the shelf. Mason Taylor was my nasty sleeper, Dave, but he's still out there. He's still out there, my friend. He killed it. He had a touchdown. A nasty sleeper came by. It came through last week. Thank you. Non-starters trending up. I mentioned Amir Abdul versus the Steelers. Kyler Murray against the Cowboys. Sorry, the Cowboys suck. They're coming off the bye. This is a home run spot for Kyler Murray. You got to start Kyler Murray this week, even in DFS. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is against the Raiders. Isn't too bad. Wide receiver Devontae Adams against the Saints is easy. Especially with no Puka yet. Tyler Higbee, of course, too.
Adams is a starter, though. I think Adams is definitely a starter.
I think he's borderline, but it depends. If 10 league, 12 league, maybe he's a starter in a 12 league. Caleb Williams against the Bengals. I like him to bounce back. He had a rough game against the Ravens, but there was a lot going against the Bears that day. DJ Moore as well. Tyrone Tracy, I will say, against a banged up 49ers D is probably a good start this week too. Defensive Packers against the Panthers. You want to play the Packers D. Wide receiver Trey Flowers against the Dolphins. And, everyone's coming back. Lamar should be back this Thursday. This is a Thursday game. Tight end Aranda Gadsden. Man, we talked about him last week. He has been amazing. And he's just awesome. Another tight end that is amazing. And wide receiver Justin Jefferson against the Lions is nice. And 4KT, drop Rashad or Mark Andrews for Tracy. Let's just go with Rashad. Drop Rashad for Tracy. All right. Yeah, because he's the handcuff. You're keeping 3 tight ends, though. I don't know how important that is.
I would say Andrews, just because he's got three tight ends, and Hunter had a good week this past week, and Drake May is actually playing really well right now. With Jackson back, though, Andrews is going to get the ball though too, so that's actually tough. So I agree with you. Yeah. I'd probably go Rashad White. I'd trade one of those tight ends though. Definitely, you got some value, especially with Jackson back. Andrews is going to have some value going forward because he's going to make him look good. As soon as he has a good week, I'd trade one of those guys, though, for sure.
Trade a tight end for like a handcuff for one of your running backs, because you're not going to get a ton for tight ends, but that's you can get a good handcuff for one of them. Busts. Dave. Oh, actually, Dave, why don't you do non-starters first?
Yeah, I like whoever's starting for Baltimore this week. against Miami. I think Lamar is definitely back this week. So Zay Flowers' stock definitely goes up. Mark Andrews' stock goes up. All those guys' stock goes up this week against poor Miami D. I do like the Caleb Williams. Monaguy, too, could have a good week against that poor Cincinnati D. Like you saw, like what the Jets did to him, like that was ridiculous. Like the Cincinnati Bengals, them and the Jets probably have two of the worst defenses I think in the league. So I think Monaguy gets some garbage time points, and he can get some carries as well. So I like that matchup. I like you said, I like the Green Bay D. People forgot about him, Christian Watson. He had a really good game this past week. I was talking about him the last couple of weeks. So if he's still up there, you got to definitely grab him. But I think he has a good game again this week. Love was looking his way quite a bit, and he looked pretty good. He showed flashes of what he used to have. He's still pretty quick, so he's still got that burst. So he's got that back. I was kind of surprised after the ACL injury, so definitely like him. I like Vidal this week. I think you're starting him for sure against the poor Titans defense. I like that matchup for them. Mac Jones, if he's starting this week, I like him against the Giants. Giants have been playing better on D, but they're still suspect. So definitely like Mac Jones this week. I like Trevor Lawrence against the poor Vegas D. Their defense is not good as well. And I like Travis Etienne. I think he could have a good week this week. Travis Hunter's been coming on too. I like him. A lot of people probably aren't starting him, but he's kind of taken over that like number 2 role there, and even number 1, borderline number 1. So he could be a nice play this week against that poor Raiders D as well. The Rams, you're definitely starting Adams. I think he's definitely a starter, so we're definitely starting him. The Giants too. I like Tracy. I don't think Singletary gets that many carries at the beginning of the year when Tracy was starting. Singletary still didn't get that many carries, so I don't think he gets that many carries. I like Tracy this week as well.
Well, that's because Scatterboo was there. Come on.
No, before even Scatterboo was even started, Tracy started the Euro as the starter.
Yeah, they're warming Scatterboo into the role. They're warming him into the role, Dave. All right, we'll agree to disagree. We'll see.
But yeah, Arizona definitely starting anyone on Arizona against Dallas's crappy defense. They've looked better the last couple of weeks, but yeah, I still haven't figured that out there. Eberflus is not the answer there either. Definitely Murray's back. You're starting him and Marvin Harrison Jr. for sure. And then Bam Knight, that's a guy we didn't talk about on our waiver wire pickups. Bam Knight took over the Michael Carter role, and he's actually starting now. So I'm going to say Bam Knight as well. Bam Knight could have a huge day against that poor Dallas run D. So Bam Knight actually looks pretty good too. I thought Carter was going to be the starter, but then it kind of shocked me. Bam took over that backfield for sure.
Well, there you go. Bam Knight. Go to bust, Dave. Who's going to crush our fantasy hopes this week?
I don't like JJ McCarthy against Detroit, even though Detroit's not an upper echelon defense. I don't like McCarthy coming back off injury, his first game back. I think he could struggle against that Lions D.
Somehow the Lions did stop Tampa that week. I was kind of scratching my head how the hell that happened, but they did stop.
I know, but I don't like McCarthy. I think he could kind of fall on his face this week against Detroit. Detroit could struggle a little bit against Minnesota's D too, but the Minnesota, I think Detroit's too good of an offense though, so probably not going to go there. I don't like Carolina against the Green Bay D this week. Dalton looked pretty horrible this past week. Oh. Bryce Young is definitely not going to ever lose his job there to Dalton.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. Bryce Young lost 3 linemen last game, and it was Dalton.
I didn't know that,
but they lost a guard, and
that's
just
tough.
Bryce Young's going to be running for his life for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, Bryce Young will be back for a couple more weeks anyway, so Dalton's going to struggle for sure. And then the running backs could struggle too, just because they're going to be stacking the line. But yeah, losing any lineman is definitely how you win the games in the trenches. So that definitely hurts Carolina just because of that as well. Didn't know that. And then I don't like Pittsburgh. I don't like them against Indy. Indy's D is underrated. I don't like Rodgers this week against the Indy D. I think they could struggle against the NED and Warren too, possibly. So I don't like that matchup. Don't like Saints against the Rams. Rams D is underrated too as well. Their defense is getting better and better, so I don't like that matchup. And then that's about it then, I think, for busts, actually.
Yeah, and I got a few. Jalen Waddell against the Ravens. I think the Ravens are just getting better and better. I wouldn't want to play anybody against the Ravens now that they're healthy. Quarterback Jay McCarthy, like you said, Devin Achin against the Ravens too. Drake May against the Falcons is kind of suspect. Falcons are good against the pass. Well, they weren't last week. As a matter of fact, it was horrible last week. I lost my survivor last week, Dave, on the Falcons.
Oh no!
Yeah, I thought Kirk Cousins was going to be like, all right, one game, go in, you play the shitty Miami Dolphins. Dude was even throwing where the receivers were. I don't even think Raheem Morris had him starting. All right, I bitched about this enough, man, but I'm telling you, I don't even think that he was playing with the ones this week. That's how fucked up this Atlanta team is. It is so weird. They beat the Bills, they lose to the Niners. You're like, all right, they're going to come back at home, and they just lay an egg against the Dolphins. They would have lost to the Titans this week. It was unreal.
So inconsistent. I definitely agree. Yeah, Atlanta, you can't figure them out. There's a couple teams like that this year too. Like they're just so hit or miss. You don't know from week to week. They could be a totally different team.
Yeah, I'm in a few other survivors, but not the Big Daddy. Like lost the Big Daddy for the team. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm happy I made it to week 9. Nico Collins against the Broncos is dangerous if he comes back. Chris Olave against the Saints, I put in as a bust. I'm done with or not against the Saints, for the Saints, but he's playing the Rams, I think. That's bad. And Joe Flacco against the Bears, I don't like that either. Flacco has this one game and then just shit goes haywire. And I just feel like the Bears are going to pick him off a few times this week. Rico Dowdle against the Packers is bad. I don't like that. Anybody really in Carolina, let's say, including Bryce Young. Bo Nix against the Texans. I'm not playing Bo Nix against the Texans. That's not a good matchup either. The Texans have a fierce defense, and they can make you work. And the total on that game is
looking good, man. Like I don't know. That's borderline though. Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. But I still like Denver though. Denver's been looking good.
They have, but this total's 39 for a reason, and I just think that this is that one stinker that they're going to have, I think. Yeah, I don't have a ton of busts. Those are the ones I came up with, but it's nasty sleeper time. Let's see if we can find another one that's going to hit. You want to go?
I'll let you go first.
I'm going with Alec Pierce against the Steelers. Yeah, Alec Pierce is nasty sleeper. Nobody talks about him. He's going to be, Danny Dimes has been great. And, this Colts team's been just averaging like 30 some points a game. They're ridiculous right now. They're unstoppable. Jonathan Taylor's unstoppable. It just makes the pass more open. And Alec Pierce is just going to find himself just streaming down the sideline, just catching a couple touchdowns against a really bad Steelers. And the Steelers just lost a defensive lineman, and they lost a secondary again this week. They're just in shambles. And anybody against the Steelers going forward is who you want to play.
Yeah. My nasty sleeper is actually going to be Travis Hunter. He's a hyped up rookie at the beginning of the year. He's been coming on the last couple of weeks. He's playing the Vegas Raiders, who are not good. So I'm going with Travis Hunter as my nasty sleeper this week. I like him. I think he could have a big game this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I'm going to start him this week too in your Yahoo. I did well in our other 2 leagues. I did win those, so I was happy about that. Making a comeback in your Yahoo and towards the top right now in our dynasty. So I'm pretty happy about my results there. Anything else, Dave, we miss?
No, Scattaboo. One last shout out for him, man. That's all I got to say, man.
But yeah, rest in peace. Until next year's draft, my friend. Until next year's draft. If you have any questions for us, please feel free to tweet us at the Icebreakers. Email us at info@theicebreakers.com. Have a great rest of your week. We have our Halloween show on Wednesday. We're going to combine NFL and we're going to combine college football. Maybe a little college basketball at the end of the week. Go get some winners.